Hello. Today it's my privilege to share an update from the church. We missed putting it out Sunday, but we want to get it out to you. So we're redoing the update. I don't have an audience input, so I'm going to be pretty dry here. Hopefully you'll get excited as we are, but the elders here at the church really feel that God's moving us. I want to first briefly touch on our recent past, bring you up to date on where we are, and finally share the elders' vision for where we're headed. Really, everything I'm talking about today is a direct result of a leadership conference that we had back in the beginning of 2019. I believe that the future will show that meeting on the 23rd of February in 2019 was a major turning point for Gateway Christian Church. For one thing, it was at this meeting that Scott and Lynn Witt announced that they'd be leaving the church. Scott had been our pastor since the beginning of the church back in 2000, and Lynn had led our worship service, and this could have easily been a devastating blow to our church. But in God's grace, it wasn't. We responded to the Witt's plans with 5 months of church-wide prayer and spent an unbroken 72 hours in prayer here at the church. God answered one of our prayers by bringing us a gifted pastor in Jared Parker, along with his wonderful family. Jared preached his first sermon as a pastor here at the end of July 2019, and as 2020 kicked off, we were doing very well. In the first 12 weeks of this year, we had an average attendance of 154 people and an average weekly offering of over $7,100. Then COVID-19 protective measures forced us to shut down our physical church services for 7 straight weeks. Our staff adjusted quickly to the shutdown, and we moved to live streaming our services, which continues to this day. They came up with some great midweek roundtable teaching to keep us in the Word while we were all homebound. Then, as the restrictions were relaxed some, we have cautiously started in-person services again. We're currently averaging 80 people per week in the building, and an unknown number still worshiping via live stream on Facebook and on YouTube. So even though COVID has temporarily changed things, God has still been very faithful. And though it's not at all visible, we as a church have not been idle either. But we've made many updates and improvements to the way we approach worship. And I'm convinced that God is blessing our efforts because not only has our weekly giving continued to provide for our needs, but it has increased over $700 a week. So what exactly have we been doing during these times? First, our video and sound capabilities have been improved drastically with the addition of new equipment, a mixing board, computer, microphones, cameras, and software. Second, we've added some needed storage space with the purchase of a large shed. Third, we replaced the 2 heating and cooling units for the auditorium that were constantly in need of repair, and we were having trouble keeping the auditorium cool. Fourth, our web page has been updated and improved, and we began to encourage the online giving option. And so far this year, over 40% of our giving has been through the online link. Fifth, we have a new logo, which will symbolize the renewed energy of our church. And sixth, we will soon have a new lighted sign with the logo on it, providing much better visibility from the interstate. So in spite of the troubling times we're living in, God has been faithful, and we are growing in unexpected ways. But think back to that meeting in 2019. The reason we were having that conference was to bring all the leaders of the church family together to discuss what God has done through us and to focus on where He's leading. We recognize that wherever God is working, there's growth. And if we want to be working with God in building His kingdom, we needed to prepare for growth. And we identified what would most likely keep us from accomplishing this in our church. And the short answer was space. But we couldn't in good conscience add new space while we're still paying a mortgage on this current building. So we've cleared the decks in a manner of speaking, and our church is now debt-free for the first time since 2006. We paid off our mortgage back in August. Lynn Stokes made the last payment. So altogether, the land, the building, and the interest cost, we paid more than $1,035,000. And we paid it off in 14 years and 2 months. And God has continued to bless us because we're still in great financial shape and have over $181,000 in the bank. Our mission statement is meeting Jesus, changing lives, celebrating hope. During that conference, we had a lot of discussion on what ministry should look like so people would meet Jesus, have changed lives, and celebrate hope. We concluded what was needed was to focus on the whole family. We need to be able to reach out to all ages and all stages with growth that draws everyone together in Christ. The first thing we need to do now is to be sure that we're using what we have most efficiently. There's many updates to our facilities that are needed, things like visual improvements and acoustic treatment to the room here, equipment updates, and things like that. This would provide a more welcoming place for our worship services. Over the next few months, we as elders are committing to make some much needed improvements to our current facilities. But we can only go so far with what we have. Currently, we have no room for growth for our preschool and elementary kids, no room for adult classes on Sunday mornings or on Wednesdays during our youth group. Our kitchen is limited in that it does not have an oven, stove, or dishwasher, and it's too small to prepare meals for large groups. Our conference room is too small for a real conference. There's no space in our lobby for quiet conversation, a visitor's welcome station, and kid check to all happen on Sunday morning. So what are we to do as a church? Something we're looking at beginning early spring would be an improvement to this current building. We're exploring expanding our current lobby to the north to match the width of the auditorium in that direction, and expanding the office hallway to the end of the main building to the south to add 2 more offices. The current kitchen would be expanded into half the current conference room, and the rest of that conference room would be reutilized as the finance office. But this does nothing to provide for a children's church or needed space for more Sunday school small group meetings. So we are also considering adding a new building to the south, which would have its own entrance for kid check, 2 handicap accessible restrooms, and 5 large classrooms. One of these rooms would be the new nursery, and the adjacent room would be preschool. There would be a shared bathroom between the 2. And this building would be connected to the current building by an enclosed hallway. Lynn Stokes has suggested, and we agree that it's a good idea, that we continue putting the same amount of money we were paying on the mortgage into a savings account in order to help fund this growth in the future. We hope you will catch our excitement for this opportunity we have at this time and help us to trust God for this outreach as we step out in faith into the future. The elders are hoping to present a building program proposal for the congregation early next spring, and we would appreciate your prayers for wisdom and vision for us. Today, we're officially celebrating the health of our congregation, our past ministry successes, and the future God has for us. It is a bit more subdued than we want it to be in order to keep up our social distancing, but we hope you will catch the vision we have for Gateway Christian Church and be an important part in our future together. Thank you.
Hey, church. Obviously, we've just received some great news, and we want to continue celebrating as we look forward to what our church can do in the future. And so we actually have a couple of gifts that we'd like for you to receive. If you weren't here this last Sunday, there are actually t-shirts with our new logo on it, as well as window decals for the back of your car. Stop by the church anytime, Monday through Thursday from 9 to 5, and the staff will be here to help you out to receive your gift. Otherwise, you can pick it up on Sundays at services. Church, we love you, and we can't wait to continue celebrating what God is doing in our church now and into the future this Sunday at both 8:30 and 10 a.m. See you then.